Some of the children who attend your program are accompanied by their nannies. The nannies have formed strong connections and like to socialize with one another. They've started to leave their children in the care of one nanny at the center while they disappear for longer and longer breaks.
And we actually ended up talking about nannies, but also talked about daycares bringing more than a couple of children in. So one of our immediate actions was develop a policy around caregiver and child obligations. And so what's our legal role when a nanny comes with a child but then leaves that child in the care of another nanny? Like, is that done with the parent's permission? And so we talked about looking at, registration forms and those kinds of things, just to say, who is ultimately responsible for a child who comes with a nanny but is in the care of another one. So also reminding caregivers about the responsibility of that child that they have towards that child while at the Strong Start Center. Encouraging nannies to interact with parents who come with their children, and also looking at policy for, not sort of an overall policy, but policy for your own center as to how many children can attend under the supervision of one caregiver who's not a parent, and if there's specific days that they can attend, or just times. And so again, we looked at it in terms of nannies and daycares as being different. Long-term approaches, possibly set up specific dates for daycare centers to bring their children into your center, or the same, if you have lots of nannies coming in, do you need to sort of balance parents coming in and nannies coming in, and also how many children are coming with the, with the daycares or nannies.
Thank you. Any comments?
I just wanted to say something about that, Diane.
I just wanted to say something about that, Diane, just from another group. When we were up in Fort St. John, the nanny issue came up there because I made the assumption that nannies was a kind of West Vancouver issue, sort of affluent families, and again, it just shows you that we all sort of bring assumptions to our work. And when the facilitators in northern BC talked about in those situations, so many of there's a huge number of nannies bringing children to Strong Start because there were no childcare spaces in very few in the Northeast, and because of the nature of the work that the families did, being in the oil fields, etc., they had long shifts, and so it was cheaper to have nannies come and move into the community. What was interesting, because it added another layer, was these nannies were from the Philippines, were all Tagalog speaking, and many of them had left their own children behind in the Philippines. And so for them, it was a chance to connect with others who spoke their language, but also there was one very poignant story where we're all in tears about this one nanny who hadn't seen her own young children for 3 years, and she would go and hook up with the other nanny because she had access to a webcam and she could actually see her children. Her children would walk to like miles to see, it was like, so I guess why I'm telling this story is the layers. It wasn't just, the nannies come and the nannies want a break. There was so much more underneath. And so it made me, again, go back to that whole idea of not making assumptions, which I had done, thinking, nannies, that's not a big deal. It was really quite a complex situation.
It makes me think again of, as much as possible, it takes some time to do this, but it's all about relationship. And as you get to know these people that you work with, obviously there's a need here for a connection between the adults, and if there's some way to help them facilitate that, you want to do that. I also wanted to say that in thinking about the work that you do, and I know this is challenging because I know it's ever changing, but if I was involved in that, I would be looking at every opportunity to have a kind of a core group, at least, that you've had some discussion with around some, do some ground rules, do some talking about the expectations of the group with a core group of people, and understanding that, that's changing all the time, people are coming and going. But the more that you can do that, and the more you can expand the size of that group, the more you can kind of, makes it easier to address a lot of these problems. Because if you have never had the opportunity to have those conversations with any of them, it's really difficult when things start flying apart all over the place. It's almost impossible, I think. So I'm just thinking, if I was in your shoes, those would be some things that I would be thinking about trying to do. And I want to say that I know that's not easy, but how many people feel like you have kind of